Prince Charles' latest remarks have sparked outrage after he claimed pirates have been fantastic for marine life because fishermen were too scared to do their job. The 68-year-old royal said there had been a fantastic explosion of bigger fish off the coast of Somalia due to the lack of activity in the sea. Speaking to Sky News, Prince Charles said, "As a result, there hasn't been any fishing there for the last 10 or 15 years, and from that there has been a fantastic explosion of bigger and bigger fish." His comments came after delivering a keynote speech at the Our Ocean conference in Malta, which came on the same day that he released a rehabilitated turtle back into the wild. Prince Charles has been lambasted for his comments by former SAS trooper and anti-piracy expert Phil Campion and former solicitor Stephen Beardsley, who faced pirates in the Indian Ocean. Mr. Campion said, "These are nasty gangs doing extreme harm, not worrying about life. There's a few extra fish. Compare that to people's lives lost. It's insensitive." If Charles thought about it he'd have a change of heart. Mr. Beardsley said, "They aren't friendly, never mind environmentally friendly." Earlier this year, Somali pirates hijacked a commercial ship after pretending to beg for water. An oil tanker crewed by 8 Sri Lankans was boarded by armed pirates near Somalia's lawless northern coast. During their peak years, Somali pirates earned hundreds of millions of dollars in ransoms, but Western boats have now been forced to carry armed guards on board. It comes after Prince Charles also warned yesterday that plastic is now on the menu as almost every fish caught for the dinner table contains refuse dumped in our oceans. He attacked the damaging effects of the throwaway, convenience lifestyles of many around the world, which sees 8 million tons of plastic waste entering seas and oceans each year. He also criticized perverse global fisheries subsidies, which encourage excessive and unregulated fishing, further depleting stocks, calling for urgent action. Charles said, "All the plastic that we have produced since the 1950s that has ended up in the ocean is still with us in one form or another, so that wherever you swim there are particles of plastic near you, and we are very close to reaching the point when whatever wild-caught fish you eat will contain plastic. Plastic is indeed now on the menu." Charles was speaking at the Our Ocean conference in Malta, where he helped to release a loggerhead turtle back into the sea after it had been treated after swallowing a piece of plastic. He used his speech to launch a Blue Economy Initiative, a collaboration between the Prince's International Sustainability Unit, ISU, and the World Resources Institute, WRI, which aims to encourage investment and policies that protect the oceans. Charles said it was time for bold action, adding, "I'm afraid I really do wonder if the ocean's fragility is yet truly grasped and how susceptible it is to the impacts of our economic activities. We must act now. How, otherwise, will future generations ever forgive us for destroying the viability of the natural world that is our ultimate sustainer?" Charles said the extent of the problem was enormous, systemic and interrelated, but he was optimistic that attempts made to stem the flow of plastics into the seas over the past decade would continue and increase. He said, "With some brave decisions, the ocean can recover its health and by doing so generate employment and economic growth. Will there, at last, be a realization that this small, beautiful blue dot of a planet may have been misnamed? It is not Earth, it is actually mostly sea, and we are utterly reliant upon it." Charles also highlighted the need to take equally far-sighted steps to deal with overexploitative fishing. He said, "Surely the time is long overdue for taking a thorough, global look at perverse fisheries subsidies and their effects, particularly where they appear to contribute to overfishing, overcapacity and to illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Can it be right to argue on the one hand that our ocean must be protected while, on the other, activities that cause harm to the ocean should be subsidized?" The heir to the throne said he believed it was utterly crucial to create what he described as a circular economy, which allows plastics to be recovered, recycled and reused instead of created, used and then thrown away. On our increasingly crowded planet, this economic approach has to be a critical part of establishing a more harmonious relationship between humankind and the ocean that sustains us all. He also argued that the recent hurricanes that have battered the U.S. and the Caribbean were directly linked to climate change and man's destruction of the globe. He said, "If the unprecedented ferocity of recent catastrophic hurricanes is not the supreme wake-up call that it needs to be in order to address the vast and accumulating threat of climate change and ocean warming, then we, let alone the global insurance and financial sectors, can surely no longer consider ourselves as part of a rational, sensible civilization." Charles told Sky News fish are eating what they think are plankton, and in fact it turns out to be plastic, so it all comes back into the food chain. He said many marvelous manufacturers were trying to develop alternatives to plastic, but added, people go to the supermarket and complain bitterly there isn't a piece of plastic between each slice of smoked salmon or whatever it is. The difficulty is, what do you have instead of that? There are alternatives beginning, but they are apparently not yet good enough.